Welcome to Marvelous Disney, the podcast that discusses the most recent doings of one of the more dynamic divisions of the Walt Disney Company, which is, of course, Marvel Entertainment. This is entertainment writer Jim Hill, and my co-host, the amazing Aaron Adams, and I are recording this week's show on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, and I hope everyone out there had a nice Valentine's Day yesterday. Sadly, the box of Lindt chocolates that I sent to my daughter in California got porch pirated, so I immediately sent a backup box of C's chocolates, waiting to see if that actually manages to make it inside the house.
So, Pirate, if you're listening, be on the lookout for a fresh stash of chocolates coming to a porch near you very soon.
Dang. All right, I should have thought this through.
You really just blew the cover on that one.
Rats. Okay, well, okay. Hopefully you've thought things out a bit more. In fact, you have a message that you want to pass along to one of our listeners. Is that correct?
No, not at all. I just wanted to wish you, Jim, a very happy Zendaya. A good Zendaya to you, if you will.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe Theatrical Forever pointed out that I had mispronounced Zendaya's name and said by mistake and force of habit, Zendaya. I apologize. She gets 17 Marvelous Disney Cool Points for catching me once again mispronouncing a name that I've been repeatedly corrected on. But really, she sent me pictures of the pretty young lady to correct me, and that only reinforces the bad habit, Jim. Theatrical Forever, you should only send me pictures of Zendaya when I say her name correctly. So Zendaya, you now owe me 4 lovely pictures of the girl. Thank you very much. In all earnestness, the girl deserves some respect and deserves to have her name pronounced correctly, so I really need to work on it, but thank you for pointing it out once again. 17 Marvelous Disney Cool Points to you.
Okay, and as long as we're trying to rack up good points here, it's Florence Pugh, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, Florence Pugh.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. All right. It took weeks and weeks of electric shock therapy, but I finally got it right.
I'm glad it's working for you. Keep the voltage up.
Okay. All right. So other significant thing that happened today, February 15th, is today is the day that Spider-Man No Way Home officially blew by James Cameron's Avatar when it came to ticket sales in North America. This John Watts film is now officially the third highest grossing film at the domestic box office. So hooray. And more to the point, since there's no way in hell that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to sell another 98 million worth of tickets in North America, we can stop talking about this now.
Yay!
But anyway, why talk about Spider-Man No Way Home when we have something new and shiny to look at? And that's the trailer and the Super Bowl ad for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which we'll get to in the second half of today's show. But first, the news, and the news portion of this week's edition of Marvelous Disney is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience, please book online at storybookdestinations.com. Have we talked previously about this Star Blaster they're building out in front of the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind?
Yeah, actually, we have chit-chatted over the Twitters with BioReconstruct about this thing. He posted some photos. He posted one from the rear, and I said, oh, that looks like the thing that Jim was talking about on Mud not so long ago. And he said, yes, indeed it is. And then he posted another photo from the front, and it looks amazing. Looks really, really cool.
But here's the thing. Theme park purists are kind of ticked off at this 51-foot-tall structure.
Why?
Because you can see the base. The thing that's holding this Nova Corps starship up in front of the building.
Wait a minute. You're saying that Disney did not invent levitation for this statue, this monument? Oh, man. Where do you draw the... I mean, I get it that, you want things to look cool, and, the Quinjet is just parked there. Yep. At the Avengers campus, and so you really can't call shenanigans on that. Millennium Falcon just sitting there. But this thing's got to be propped up somehow, and if you can't do levitation, what are you going to do?
In talking with friends at Imagineering about this, they're like, this is the state that hurricanes come through quite frequently. If you drill down into the safety codes and the building standards that that WDI is held to by the Reedy Creek Improvement District, the thing that allowed them to build in Walt Disney World. All of the things they build in the theme parks have to be able to withstand winds of 300 miles per hour. Because, again, if they get a particularly strong hurricane coming through, and especially if you look at this Zendarian starship, which is made up basically out of pointy triangles, you don't want chunks of that sticking out of the side of Spaceship Earth. So it's like, this is why we have our base. And it's like, we haven't finished building it yet. Let us put in the decorative fountain and the plants, and then you won't see it quite as often. So beyond that, also today, Cosmic Rewind got its first chunks of merchandise. In fact, you go over to Shop Disney right now. They have a set of 4 Groots for $21.99, and you get the full life cycle of Groot. You get the seedling in the little pot, you get baby Groot, you get surly teenage Groot, and full-size Groot, which, did you know the actual species that Groot is supposed to be? The Flora colossus?
Oh, is that the species, the genus and the phylum
Supposedly,
of a Groot?
supposedly. I did.
Wow.
The things you learn on the side of toy boxes.
It's one of those things where you're sitting around at Marvel one day and they're just shooting stuff back and forth and, like, hey, we got a talking tree. Oh, yeah, that's really cool, man. Hey, what's the genus of it? Like, what? Oh, seriously, if someone were to ask you on the street, what genus is Groot? What would you say? And then they have to have this discussion where they go through the entire, like, all right, where's the book, Darwin's Book of Evolution, so we can, branch this out. Haha, tree joke. Yeah, it's just it's the things that they come up with in their creative discussions that end up making it into, well, discussions like this here.
Mm-hmm. For me, I look at that, and that is clearly somebody trying to figure out, well, how can we expense this lunch? Well, let's have a conversation about Groot.
Yeah.
So other toys that you will be able to get in the, well, you can get them at Shop Disney right now, but it will also be for sale in the post-show gift shop at Cosmic Rewind. There's going to be a die cast of the Benatar, which is the M-class spaceship that the Guardians are flying now because the Milano got damaged. And we also have a die-cast version of the thing in front of the building that theme park purists are complaining about, the Star Blaster. And both of the space vehicles will go for $14.99.
Do they happen to have deals with, say, Lego? Because I've got a friend who's really into the Lego collections and the more, advanced stuff. And they've got I think it was the Benatar that they had a Lego set of. Looks really sharp, but do they sell the Lego things that they've licensed their property to Lego? Do they get to sell that in their stores as well?
That's an interesting question.
Or is it just that too much money goes directly to Lego that they don't even want to bother?
Well, Lego loves being part of the Marvel camp. In fact, had things gone a different way this year, the 117th edition of Toy Fair New York would be starting on Saturday, this coming Saturday, February 19th, at the Javits Center down in New York. But, of course, Omicron reared its ugly head, and out of an abundance of caution, this year's physical edition of that toy trade show had to go virtual. But what's interesting is Lego has been taking advantage of that and just released images of its Jane Foster dressed as Thor figure for the toy lines that'll come out for Thor Love and Thunder, which that's July 8th. So we probably shouldn't expect to see those till sometime in June or thereabouts. But
right.
And speaking of not so distant future, Owen Wilson just did an interview and revealed that, he's coming back for season 2 of Loki, which will begin shooting in the UK this summer.
Wow.
Did you, by the way, catch what showed up on Disney Plus just this past week? The assembled documentary for the making of Hawkeye?
I have not yet been able to watch it. I saw that it was there. I was going to make an attempt, but I was vetoed by the house partner. I won't say her name, wife. So I didn't get to watch it.
I'm having
Yet.
the same issues this week. A certain woman who will go unnamed loves ice skating, and the Olympics are on. So
Sure, yeah. You gotta make your sacrifices if you want to stay in the house.
That's it exactly. So I did manage to sneak in a viewing of the assembled. Couple of quick stories worth noting. Jeremy Renner was talking about, he's been in the MCU since Thor.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how in the first 2 weeks of shooting the Hawkeye limited series, it was one of these things. He's had more dialogue, that his character had.
Than his whole career.
No,
yeah,
that's
right?
it exactly. That the Clint Barton has never had this many lines. And suddenly it's like, wow.
That's why he's like got back problems and stuff. Like, I haven't had so much to do in so long. Yeah. I sign up for these billion-dollar movies and I'm there for a week. It's like I'm going to the, Bahamas and sipping on Mai Tais while everyone's doing the heavy lifting. And now all of a sudden, the weight's on his shoulders and he's actually got to show up every day.
Very interesting. You mentioned billion-dollar movies because, of course, that brings to mind Avengers Endgame. And producer Trin Tron was talking about how as Marvel Studios was slogging through production of that epic film, that was actually when the first conversations were had about, hey, maybe we should do a theatrical release with Clint, a Hawkeye movie, sort of in the same vein as Black Widow. But these are two superheroes who aren't really superheroes. They have achieved their position in the Marvel Universe because they're humans who have reached a level of expertise through years of practice. And following a Black Widow movie with a Hawkeye movie would be sort of like putting a carton of vanilla ice cream next to a carton of French vanilla ice cream.
What if they just combined their chocolate and peanut butter and gave us the Reese's movie of Black Widow and Hawkeye?
The weird part of this is also when you're having a conversation with, a performer about you finally get your moment in the spotlight. And that was the thinking, well, we've already agreed to do this with Scarlett. We're doing a theatrical release. So why don't we explore, we have this new opportunity over at Disney Plus where we're doing limited series that are actually, we're spending almost the same amount of money to make these things, and they have longer running time. So I think you pointed out that if you cut Hawkeye, all of its opening sequences and title sequences out, it's 2.5 hours, 3 hours, almost theatrical release running time.
Yeah, I mean the difference right now between a Marvel film, because they are getting longer in length, and a MCU Disney Plus streaming show, it seems like they're about the same length. The main difference between them is how your story structure ends up being, because if you have like 8 episodes, you have essentially 6 or 7 cliffhangers every 20 minutes. And to keep you coming back for next week, right? You gotta end with, oh my God, what was that all about? I gotta come back next week and find out more. And then it leads you all the way to the very end. Whereas when you're dealing with a film, you're dealing with a traditional 3-act structure. And so I think just creatively, it allows you to look at a character through a different lens and give you a different way to approach how you tell that character's story for a change, which is always rather refreshing, which is, I think, one of the reasons I'm so excited for Moon Knight being a series rather than a movie.
I agree. Okay. We'll be talking about this later in the show, the news about the Netflix, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones and that sort of thing. But one of the things that really excited people about Hawkeye was the way they teased Kingpin until he finally got revealed, in the final seconds of episode 5. But it was Kevin Feige himself who came up with the idea that Kingpin should be the big bad in the Hawkeye series. And he was the one who said, look, let's reach out to Vincent D'Onofrio and see if he's willing to reprise his role from the Netflix Daredevil series. What was kind of interesting is they wanted this version of Kingpin to be different from the one that had been in the Netflix series. And so there was initially evidently some discussion about, let's make him bigger. People seem to really respond to how Kingpin was portrayed in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So can we do something like that? Is there a way,
The only reason we responded to it is because they drew him as a freaking black square. That was what we responded to. And it wasn't a good response overall. It was like, wow, Into the Spider-Verse was amazing. What the hell was up with Kingpin being a freaking square? That was what the conversation was, Mr. Feige.
Okay. I guess there was some talk about, is there a way we could make him like as much as 450 pounds? That much mass. And in the end, Vincent D'Onofrio said, look, I'm willing to put on some weight. In fact, I guess he gained 20 pounds for the role. And if you remember what they did in the Netflix Daredevil, they had him in his immaculate white suits. And he decided, let's go another way. And that's why the loud Hawaiian shirts this time around.
Well, that was from the comic book.
Yep. That's the thing about Vincent. You get him talking, and he will actually talk about the individual artists who have drawn Kingpin and the things that he wanted to pull from various runs of the book to do with the character. Anyway, it's worth noting that Mr. Feige, when he went to Haley Steinfeld and they had their initial meeting for Kate Bishop, it was one of these things where normally it's okay, we talk and then we audition and then we talk with agents and we cut a deal. And evidently, Kevin, in this case, just offered Haley the job on the spot. Because I guess she was also committed to another show and is like, we would really, really, really like you for this.
Well, she's the lead for Dickinson.
There we go.
On Apple TV's Apple TV Plus channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in its second season right now. So she is busy with that.
Okay. Well,
if she's got a full dance card, you got to snag her while you can. Call dibs. I call dibs on the next dance, please. I don't know what you got coming up on your calendar, but I'd like to be included. I mean, I remember watching True Grit, and what was she, maybe 12 at the time?
But she was great, yeah.
And she's going to be uber star when she grows up. Because if this is where they're at now, oh my goodness, Meryl Streep, look out. These girls is coming for your crown. So, yeah, today they are just oozing with raw talent.
Now, it's interesting you talk about young actresses because, of course, in the opening scene of Hawkeye, we get to see young Kate Bishop looking out her window at the Battle of New York. And it turns out it was a much longer opening initially. In fact, Clara Stark, who plays the younger version of Kate Bishop, had a lot more scenes with her dad to sort of set that up. And also, this limited series actually used to be bookended with scenes of Clint at home with his kids in Iowa. But it was just the whole notion of, no, start the story sooner. And so that got cut, which, have you heard about this stuff that got cut out of Spider-Man No Way Home, where they were trying to figure out how to acknowledge the Ben Affleck version of Daredevil?
Wait a minute, what the hell?
See, the thing of it is that Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, the writers of Spider-Man No Way Home, they knew, they were bringing Charlie Cox in to play Matt Murdock, to play, Peter Parker's attorney, to deal with the whole murder of Mysterio thing. But, but the way that they sort of sussed out how to do this was that Aunt May and Peter weren't going to have the money or the resources to get a lawyer quickly, but Happy Hogan was. But here's the thing. Happy Hogan is played by Jon Favreau, who also, in the Ben Affleck version of Daredevil, played Matt Murdock's best friend, Foggy Nelson.
Yep.
And so the notion was, okay, so we're going to do this scene where we bring Charlie Cox in as Matt Murdock, but here's Jon Favreau, who was in Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and we have to acknowledge this in some way, otherwise the fans are going to get after us. And so, they were trying to sort of craft a scene that would allow them to at least make a nod in that direction.
All they would have had to do is have Favreau swap honey for mustard, and they would have been done. That's it. That's all you need to do. Favreau, swap that for that, and we get it.
Okay. Well,
that's your nod.
Well, here's the thing that Eric and Chris came up with. Remember the scene in the movie where they're sitting down in Aunt May's apartment, and this is when they bring Matt Murdock in. So May turns to Happy and says, so where did you find this guy? I mean, we're obviously going to need a really good attorney. And Happy says, Well, I'm a little foggy on when we first met, but Matt's a really good attorney. This is the line that was supposed to set up the moment where the brick comes through the window. And Matt just snatches it out of midair before it hits Peter. And Peter is supposed to say, how did you do that? And he said, I'm a really good attorney. So Matt was echoing what Aunt May had said and Happy had said, but Happy was supposed to have said, got the I'm a little foggy in there. And that was supposed to be their cute insider way of saying, I previously played Foggy Noseland, in the Ben Affleck Daredevil, but now I'm Happy Hogan.
Yeah, I would have gone with the honey and the mustard gag myself, and that would have just saved a lot of time. A non-verbal wink, just move on. We don't need to spend any time reminiscing about the days of Ben Affleck meeting Jennifer Garner on the teeter-totter, doing that stunt, falling in love, getting married, having children, getting divorced. Then we get that sad Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette meme going around. We don't need to cover all of that.
You and John Watts are of the same mind. He just looked at that piece of dialogue and it's like, it's cute, but it's a little clunky. And so
hard pass.
Yeah, we'll just collapse it down to the I'm a really good lawyer thing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Charlie Cox shared this story with the Hollywood Reporter back on February 11th, but he was also talking about how when he and Andrew Garfield were both down in Atlanta shooting Spider-Man No Way Home, their time on set overlapped. And these two were old friends. So they said, hey, let's go out and get lunch together. So they go to this restaurant and the hostess is seating them. And it's only as they're sitting down in the middle of the restaurant, they realize, oh, crap. Anybody takes a picture of us two together here, that's going to blow a bunch of Spider-Man No Way Home's biggest secrets. Because it's like, why are these two guys in Atlanta together? So they turn to the hostess and deliberately ask for the worst seats in the restaurant. So she seats them against the wall, facing the wall.
Yeah, right on.
But they're able to have their lunch without, and nobody's any the wiser. So,
can you seat us in the bathroom stalls with the closing doors, please? We'll just eat in there on the toilet.
Now, speaking of Daredevil, did you see the news this week about Netflix?
Yes.
March 1st, Daredevil, along with Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, The Punisher, and Iron Fist, as well as The Defenders, are leaving that streaming service.
The most important thing is, does it go directly from Netflix to Disney Plus that same day? I don't want there to be any lag time. How long do we have to wait before it shows up somewhere else for us to watch it?
What I'm hearing is it will eventually get to Disney Plus, but there will be a stop along the way. You have to remember that Hulu right now has two Marvel-produced animated series. It has MODOK and it has Hit Monkey.
They're dropping them off in Hulu land for a while?
They're dropping them in Hulu land for a while because there is talk, especially given we live in a space now where we have Paramount Plus, we have Peacock, we have HBO Max, and of course we have Netflix in addition to Disney Plus. And the belief is that at some point further on down the line, sometime over the next couple of years, there will be consolidation in the biz. And one of the things that keeps getting pointed to is that Disney is going to swallow Hulu because, again, they're the majority shareholder there. But it would mean creating a version of Disney Plus where certain shows and that sort of thing would be hidden behind age appropriate, to the effect of you need to sign in and be the right age to see this stuff. So further on down the line, when Hulu and Disney Plus become one streaming service, that's when all of the Netflix shows that Marvel produced will finally show up under the banner. But speaking of more adult-oriented fare, when Aaron and I get back from this break, we will talk about how Moon Knight looks to be Marvel Studios' first ever TV-14 show.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
Before I forget, today, Tuesday, February 15th, is when the Blu-ray version of The Eternals is hitting store shelves. Other things, we were just talking about the Hawkeye Limited series a while back, which makes me think of its spin-off, Echo, which is supposed to begin shooting in April under the working title of Grasshopper. And out of the assembled documentary about the making of Hawkeye, because Alqua Cox's character is hearing impaired and needs her hands to talk, Echo always needed to protect her hands. So it's like, if you go back and watch, she uses her elbows and feet a lot. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And while we're talking about soon to begin shooting limited series from Marvel Studios, In the Heights star Anthony Ramos has just been hired to play an unnamed role in Ironheart, which stars Dominique Thorne as Marvel character Riri Williams, a genius inventor and creator of the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man. But before we get Echo and Ironheart, we get Moon Knight, whose title character, which will be played by Oscar Isaacs, has been described by Kevin Feige in a recent interview with Empire Magazine as he's brutal. It's been fun to work with Disney Plus and see the boundaries shifting on what we are able to do. There are moments in the series where Moon Knight is wailing at another character, and it is loud and brutal, and the knee-jerk reaction is, we're going to pull back on this, right? And it's like, no, we are not pulling back. That's a tonal shift. That's a different thing. This is Moon Knight. So what did you think of what we got to see in the Super Bowl ad?
I liked it very, very much. It was actually different from what was eventually released in the trailer that we got later on that had more. I think the trailer was a full 2-minute trailer, whereas the Super Bowl ad was only a 30-second ad.
Yep.
And in that Super Bowl ad, we had Moon Knight jump and his cape flares out to make the crescent moon shape. And it's an iconic image, right? And I was, happy to see that little thing. And then again, another iconic image is his crescent weapon coming out of the crescent moon in the sky, looking so amazingly cool and just.
No, I agree. It looks great. Mind you, we're still a few weeks out from its debut on March 30th. In fact, I guess they are still working on it because just today, it was revealed that F. Murray Abraham has been hired to voice the Egyptian god Khonshu. Is that,
Sure.
So I love that even this close to its actual debut, they're like, ooh, we can do better. They reach out.
The trailer did have quite a bit of a horror element to it. Like, if you just look at the set design, for crying out loud, they've got like this ghostly white creature god thing marching down a very poorly lit hallway. It's almost complete blackness. And Oscar Isaac is huddled up in the corner of an elevator, a pitchly black painted elevator, by the way. And I want to just have anyone call out, anytime in your life have you ever seen an elevator painted interior pitch black? If some people are afraid of enclosed spaces, right? So you put in mirrors or you paint it a bright, cheery color. But pitch black, it just doesn't seem to exist in the real world. So, it is highly stylized towards the horror side. And I think that's going to be rather exciting because we just haven't had that in the MCU yet very much. We'll find out with Madness
Mm-hmm.
how much madness is there. It looks like there's a bit more than we saw previously when we get to that, but it's nice to have that different flavor
No, I
added into the
agree. I
MCU.
agree. And remember, we also have had our tease at the end of Eternals, the Blade, and hopefully that continues, in that direction. But okay, so you mentioned Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which again, same thing. We got a 30-second long commercial, and we also got the 2-minute long trailer, which was different from what we got at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home back on December 17th.
Lord, yes. Yeah, it was radically different. And thankfully so, because they were showing some horror chops
Mm-hmm.
in these latest images. And in the I should say the Superb Owl ad, because you get in trouble for saying the other word.
Okay.
In the Superb Owl ad,
Mm-hmm.
we had, I don't even want to call it Zombie Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather call it Decaying Strange. But do you recall that image where it looks like he's got bits of him falling off of his hand is up and it looks rather zombie-esque?
Yeah. You've done the deep dive on this, so I'm going to step back for a moment. You're going to walk us through your thoughts on the trailer and the Super Bowl ad, and then I'm going to come in at the end, because what intrigued me about this was what we didn't know going into this, and
Right, yeah.
So anyway, take it.
We'll touch on that, but before I even get to the trailer, because I've got something that I think is so exciting, that came from a poster.
Okay.
It's the one where Strange is in the center of the poster, and it's all the shattered glass with the bits of
Yep.
reflections and whatnot. Did you gaze at all of those little bits of shattered glass?
What I love about the Marvel fan community is there are so many people who are better or smarter when it comes to the Marvel characters than I am. And I looked at that. That's a compelling image. But there were folks who took it to the Zapruder level of looking into that. And man, the stuff they found.
Well, you've got several different versions of Strange. And the way that we know that is by whether he's got a mustache or a goatee, or where his white streak of hair is at his sideburns or higher up on his head. It sounds silly. It'll make sense later when we start talking about Defender Strange. But in these shards of glass, you got characters like Wanda, Wong, Baron Mordo, America Chavez. The one that I was most shocked by, that I think is going to lead to the most amazing discussion, Jim, is down by his cape in the lower right side is the shield of Captain Carter.
There we go.
Before you had asked if Doctor Strange, the Dark Doctor, was from the animated What If series, and I totally did not think that it was even remotely possible they'd do such a thing. That shield and that image was like, man, I am so wrong on so many levels. Because I think when we get to the Illuminati, I think that's where Sharon's going to show up. So let's dive into the trailer, and when we get to that moment, we'll discuss further. But I know you're a fan of Peggy.
I am.
And seeing that shield represented in that shard made me think, well, there's something to make Jim happy, a pleasant little surprise somewhere in this movie. Hopefully Peggy will show up. We'll find out. But on to the trailer.
Just one quick aside here that I was actually told by somebody at Marvel, it came up as part of the conversation about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil and the like. And it's like, one of the reasons those are probably get parked at Hulu is that they aren't canon. On the other hand, Marvel What If, that's canon.
Well, I think that with the addition of Kingpin in Hawkeye and Charlie Cox in Spider-Man, I think that has to lean towards, yes, they are canon. I don't want to see all that work washed away because Daredevil was damn good. And, if it's one of them things where I have to disagree with Mr. Feige directly to his face, I'll say, Mr. Feige, I disagree directly to your face. I think Daredevil is worthy of addition to the MCU.
Well, remember, he's the guy who brought Kingpin actually into Hawkeye. So I think that you two are in the same sheet of music, so to speak, there. And obviously Charlie Cox is in the Spider-Verse.
Also, there was very, very recent rumbling that there would be a new series of Punisher with John Barenthal as the current Punisher, reprising the role once again.
Wow.
So I think if they do end up bringing back Daredevil and they end up bringing back Punisher as series, even if it is on Hulu, I don't think that denies it from being canon. I just think it's Disney saying, hey, we really don't have a really good barrier for youngsters versus oldsters. And we would like to sort that out first before we start mashing Punisher in with Mickey.
That may well be what's going on here. So, all right. Anyway, so talk to me. Superb owl spot in trailer.
Actually, Superb Owl Spot is a lot of the same footage. I mean, there is some differences, but the big one was that decaying
There we go.
Doctor Strange image. Beyond that, a lot of the images were reused, but the real meat of the questions come directly from the trailer, and so we'll dive into that. At 14 seconds in, I'll give you timestamps so you can look it up yourself. America Chavez. It's our first glimpse of her in action. And she is facing, I don't know what the heck it is, but it looks horrifying. It looks like strips of meat and glowing holes straight to hell. I don't know what it is, but it just looks horrible. Sam Raimi, shame on you for giving me nightmares so early. 14 seconds into the trailer, and you're already giving me the heebie-jeebies. 15 seconds in, just 1 second later, Jim, we get Defender Doctor Strange falling through some light portal thing. Defender Doctor Strange, it's like a costume change, right? He's got this, it almost looks like a trident, except it's missing the middle prong. Or, maybe like, I've always imagined it as like a dragon with wings emblazoned on his chest. And I know that's Iron Fist, but it's just what it looks like. It's like kind of wing shaped, and it's just a different costume, and he's got the streaks in his hair are different. And I think that this is the Doctor Strange that might be part of the Illuminati when our Doctor Strange shows up, because we're getting different versions of the Doc. So we've got to have a time and a place and a reason for all of them to be here. And I think this is our way into the Illuminati's Doctor Strange's Defender Doctor Strange. But I saw the costume and I was like, oh, that looks so badass. It's just total fanboy geek moment. And it lasted a second. Moving on. 42 seconds in, Christine is in a wedding dress, looking at something that I can only assume is inducing some form of madness. But I don't know. I mean, is there that will they, won't they with her character and Doc Strange? Do we, is he going to pine over her? I mean, we know that he did in the What If series, right? So is this going to crush him in our real world right now if she gets married to some other bloke? Don't know. If she's in a wedding dress, it's got to mean something. You don't just put that stuff in there willy-nilly, right? It's gotta have some sort of emotional movement. Moving on, 55 seconds. A glimpse of a Minotaur. I think his name is Rintra.
Yep.
So don't know much more about that, but it looks like the place where they practice magic at. Where Doctor Strange got his teachings. Moving on to 113. A properly functioning, non-mad with power, docile Ultron bots escorting Strange to meet the Illuminati. Jim, when you saw the robots, what did you think? Did you know what they were?
I had the same thoughts. But again, it being the multiverse, it's like, okay, so this is the world where Tony Stark pulled it off. And then again, immediately it's like, please tell me they got James Spader, even, for a day to come in.
Right, yeah. So one thing, with the way that they redid the eyes, I thought of, is it Ultraman, the Japanese character?
Yep.
Yeah, it did have that kind of look right off the bat, but after I did the frame by frame, I was like, those are properly functioning Ultron bots. And the reason that will be of most great importance will come up in a few seconds. Just going to leave that nugget there because I think that this could be one of the most brilliant moments Marvel has ever put together. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
At 116, high back chairs and silhouettes, and I refuse to guess at whom those silhouettes are because all I can see is Doctor Doom. On the right of Doctor Strange, I'm like, there's a hooded cloak sitting there, and it just the way it's draped, it looks so like a Doctor Doom silhouette. And I dare not even place my hopes or dreams upon such a thing ever coming true in this movie. So I shan't.
Well, it's so interesting you say that because just over the last couple of days to watch the folks who have discovered a 4K version of this trailer and have
Oh no.
really dug down into the imagery. I mean, for example, they do one super close up, and there's one person seated in a high chair who's got a white circle on their cloak.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it wasn't even in the 4K. And my first thought was that looks like a Reed Richards of some sort.
Yeah.
And then when I was looking at over on the other side, it was like, and if that looks like a Dr. Doom, I'm like, I started just speaking gibberish for the next 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's why I do not want to speculate at silhouettes, Jim, because I get too excited.
No,
excited.
I understand.
And I'll get geek on everybody, and then you'll have to go get the handy wipes so you can wipe geek off you. But anyway, moving on. 1 minute, 21 seconds into this wonderful trailer. Sir Pat Stew is dangled like a freaking carrot. What up with that? Approximately 100 million worth of tickets were sold just off of that one line and a glimpse of that bald head. You know that to be true, right?
Seriously, was it 2 shows ago, 3 shows ago that you and I went over the rumored list of cameos?
Oh,
You know, all of these folk, and never once did you and I even, I think we actually talked about maybe Hugh Jackman might show up in this thing, but never
Okay,
once.
now hold on. That is actually the conversation I want to have right at this moment.
Okay.
During the filming of Logan,
Yep.
Sir Pat Stew says, "This is the last time I'm playing Charles Xavier. I think this is the proper moment to retire this character. I think we have completed his story arc. There is no need for me to ever revisit this character ever again as long as I live, so help me God." And it was immediately after that Hugh Jackman walked up right behind him and went, "Yeah, I too swear to never ever play Logan again as long as I live, so help me God, on my word as an Aussie." And all of a sudden, we got Sir Pat Stew in a trailer. And now here's the other thing is like, they were so secretive about Toby and Andrew. Even after the movie was out, they wouldn't even talk about it. Are they in it? I don't know. Or they could be. I haven't seen the movie, even though I funded it and made it and was there for filming. I don't know if they could be in it. Maybe. Here, they throw them out in the damn trailer. Like, look what we got, guys. It's Patrick Stewart. Does that mean, Jim, that right behind him, should we expect Hugh Jackman to walk on scene and go, "Hey, mate, I'm here too"?
I don't honestly know what to tell you. We have talked in the past about how when it comes to No Way Home and doing the business that it's done and getting the sorts of reviews that it's done, I think I shared the story about how the original Avengers made Marvel Studios think, okay, Iron Man 3 is going to be perhaps unfairly judged by the standard of the action and the acting and the effects in the original Marvel Avengers. So we're going to need to throw some more money at this. We're going to need to do this, step up our game. So you got to wonder. We have that amazing quote from Sam Raimi, "I think we're done."
Right, yeah. I do believe that Kevin Feige's coming back from the hardware store with the kitchen sink that he wants to put into the movie. He left that out of all things, and we had to throw in a kitchen sink. All right, moving on, because this is going to lead to another amazing set of questions, Jim. But at a minute 24, which is just 3 seconds after they dangle Pat Stew in front of us, Doctor Strange and America Chavez are falling through a light portal, and I swear to you, it's the Savage Land, simply because there's a dinosaur there, a freaking velociraptor-looking dinosaur. And the Savage Land is where we have a lot of X-Men adventures, right? So if you go directly from Sir Pat Stew saying his line, and then going into a jungle with a dinosaur, that's the connection I'm making, and I think it's very direct, and it doesn't take a very extraordinary leap to the left or right. I think it's a very straightforward connection there. I could totally be wrong, though. Marvel's done it so many different times, but that's what I'm thinking is we're getting a glimpse of the Savage Land. I'm excited for that. I'll move on just a few seconds. This is a joke at 1 minute, 27 seconds. This is Doctor Strange in his cubism period.
Yes. Okay.
I like the look of it. I think it's an old school, like a Kirby-esque kind of look, and I dig it. 136. Here we go, Jim. At 1 minute 36, some people speculate that is Captain Marvel, maybe Monica Rambeau.
Okay.
The rest of the world believes that is Superior Iron Man played by Tom freaking Cruise. What say you?
I have to admit that I'm kind of leaning toward the Monica Rambeau. Not to say that Tom Cruise is not in this film at some point.
Right.
But the killer for me was that somebody, again, had found a 4K and had gone in really close, and it was like the signature mustache goatee thing.
Yeah.
The image sort of fell apart at that point, and you looked at it, and it's like, okay, that's a woman's lips.
Okay, you think so? All right.
But again, you see, this is the problem. So much of this is open to interpretation at this point.
Well, the thing that I think that supports a Superior Iron Man at this moment in time is the fact that we have working Ultron robots from a few seconds before.
This is true.
Tony Stark is the inventor of that. And therefore, if we've got functioning Ultrons, we've got a Stark somewhere. It almost sounds like a song, maybe like a Motown thing. We got a Stark somewhere, baby. We got a Stark somewhere now.
At the same time, remembering what we have just seen on WandaVision, and this is where Monica Rambeau basically came on the Marvel stage. And we have so much Scarlet Witch in this trailer. And in fact,
that's true too. Yeah.
So it's just,
and I am totally skipping over all of the Scarlet Witch stuff because none of the Scarlet Witch stuff I find to be surprising. I mean, we know her as a character, we know her motivation right now, and the fact that we know that she's in the movie, and but it doesn't lead quite anywhere just yet. She does have a really cool line about how she thinks it's that she does her thing and he does his, and she gets blamed for being demonized, and he gets called a hero, and she doesn't think that's very fair. And you just almost want to see her throw a little witchy temper tantrum and have a little magic battle right there. But who knows what that will lead to. But yeah, so my vote right there is I think it's going to be a Superior Iron Man. And I also think a couple of different things here is one, if he's got the Ultrons and the idea that he's already got a couple of Infinity Stones embedded into his armor, because that's kind of how the character is written. And if he happens to be played by Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise plays a really arrogant jerk really, really, really well. And I want to point specifically to Tropic Thunder and his portrayal of, I can't remember the agent's name or whatever, but he was so evil and so mean and so vile that I just loved him and I wanted to eat him up with a spoon. And I think if he went and did a really disgustingly arrogant Tony Stark of Doctor Strange has to explain, well, our Tony Stark died to save the world from Thanos. And he's like, well, I had Ultron because I made it right. What, didn't he have Ultron? Well, yeah, but it went rogue and tried to kill everyone. Well, Jesus, what an idiot. Our Ultron saved the world from Thanos. I didn't even have to do anything that day. I guess I'm the Superior Iron Man because I'm still alive. Like, just a really super arrogant, because here's the thing, Jim, is I don't know if the audience would tolerate Tom Cruise as a replacement Tony Stark for 10 seconds unless he did something freaking amazing, because there is so much love and goodwill in what Robert Downey Jr. gave us over all of those years that the idea of a replacement, and as someone is, that, because love him or hate him, Tom Cruise, some people don't like him. Some people love him, but you put him in that role, and I think a lot of people are just going to hate him right off the bat because he's simply not Robert Downey Jr. So I think he's got to do something amazing, and I think that his really jerky characters are some of the most entertaining, and I think it fits a Tony Stark persona, and I just really hope. Again, it's like the silhouettes. I've put all my eggs into a basket that it should never have been woven, Jim. That basket should never have existed. And here I am with all my eggs in it. I got to move on. All right. So here we go.
Okay.
Minute 44. Doctor Strange uses the exact same trick that Cull Obsidian uses in Infinity War. Do you catch that? when the tentacle monster throws a bus at Strange, he
Yes,
creates a
yes.
portal sideways.
Okay.
That was when Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and Banner are having the fight with Cull Obsidian in the beginning of Infinity War, and they throw like a vehicle at him, and he puts up a portal that splits it in half, and it goes to either side of him, so he doesn't even have to move out of the way, and we're like, oh, that's so badass. It's like Doctor Strange is like learning a trick from a nemesis and using it in his battle here, and I just think that's a really cool continuation of the character. It shows the growth. Hey, I saw this trick one time. Watch this.
There you go.
Bus cut in half. Don't even have to move. How cool is that? I'm pimp. Anyway, 206, we're getting to the end. The many-armed thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's Doctor Strange. I don't know if it's a demon. I don't know. But it looks like Raimi is bringing the freaky deaky scares. And as a fan of the Raimi horror aesthetic, I am down to go crazy with Doctor Strange. I'm really looking forward to it. And the other thing was, I had asked you a while ago, well, it doesn't look very scary when we saw the cap on the button on the Spider-Man movie. It's like, well, that wasn't very scary. This looks like it's got a lot of very freaky, scary, Sam Raimi-worthy moments. And so I'm so excited.
Same thing here. Now, as a precaution, though, we should mention that, think about the last Spider-Man No Way Home trailer before the film was released, where in order to keep Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's participation in the film secret just a little while longer, their versions of Peter Parker were digitally removed from that battle in and around the Statue of Liberty. So we should probably be ready for whatever we've seen here with this trailer to could be little different.
Yeah,
could
fantastically different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing you said, the notion that this is a trailer, that they've clearly stepped up their game to get us back into theaters. By the way, there's one other thing, the notion if they're doing the Illuminati, that's probably going to include Namor.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be showing up shortly in Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Well, now it's so interesting you say that. Thank you. On February 12th, there was a Twitter account called Atlanta Filming. And the caption for this particular tweet literally had, "This will delete in 10." To the effect of, this image is going to get pulled down really fast. So
this sounds like a case for the Marvel PR team.
Marvel PR team. Coming this fall. Wednesday evenings. Only on CBS.
Here's what it was. It's an image showing a new underwater set being fashioned for use for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But it's of a crew working neck deep in a large pool with a blue composite screen as the background. And it was up on a social media platform for literally minutes before it was removed. Black Panther Wakanda Forever doesn't arrive in theaters till November 11th of this year.
Did they finish with Letitia Wright's filming of her additional scenes?
From what I've been hearing, that went surprisingly smoothly. Marvel's PR team has been working overtime to make sure that is the narrative. It's like, she showed up, she did her work. We have had no issues whatsoever. In fact, I've had friends suggest that one of the reasons that this footage of the water tank and shooting the water scene was leaked to the effect of, again, the bright shiny object to all distract us. It's, what about Letitia Wright? It's like, hey, did I show you the Namor scene we're shooting? And it's like,
First off, if she's injured, we were happy that she's healed up, right? I mean, it's simple mathematics there, but if she's able to complete the filming, because we knew that everything was on hold waiting on her, and so it's just a matter of, is she healthy enough to complete everything, and did it go without any problems, and were there any difficult scenes, challenging scenes that may have been physical, like if I sprain my ankle, do I have to run this week? And so it's just more a matter of, we know she'd been injured. We know that there are other issues that kept the shooting from progressing. And so now that she's back at it, I hope that it's a good run where they got everything that they needed and there weren't any additional hiccups along the way, because there's a lot of planning and effort and whatnot that goes into it. And even waiting costs a lot of money.
I wanted to just drop one final thing before we close this week's show. With the Eternals, after a couple of days of it being in theaters, Chloe Zhao did come out and say, okay, that is in fact Mahershala Ali, the gentleman who's going to be playing Blade. That's who, is saying that line at that moment in the film. Have you noticed that they have not volunteered yet when it comes to we should tell him the truth? That they're not volunteering that that's Patrick Stewart? Not yet, anyway.
Oh, like we don't know what Patrick Stewart sounds like.
I know. All right.
I'm not as familiar with Mahershala Ali, and I know that he played Uncle Aaron in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and did a wonderful portrayal. But then when you've heard a voice for decades, because Patrick Stewart, like I said, he played Picard forever on TV. So you've got decades of in-your-home exposure weekly from that. And then that carries over to the number of years that he played Xavier in the Fox film franchise and all of the film work that he's done. I mean, from Excalibur, for crying out loud, back in the 80s on. I mean, and I know he's done stuff even before that, but I mean, the man has just been in my home for flipping decades. And it's really, really hard to not be. It would be like not being able to recognize my dad's voice.
Okay. On previous shows, you've come after me to the effect of, that's crazy. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire will not be in this. So,
Oh, no, I've still got feathers in my teeth. I've been eating crow on that one for, a couple of months now, Jim. But, I've been wrong so many times. I have a cookbook on crow coming out in the very near future.
Well, that's the thing. I just feel like, given that this was just not on the radar. I mean, again, remember, we had a list of like 10 or 15 cameos.
No, it wasn't, but I think it was a brilliant publicity stunt in the sense of, they had to make Doctor Strange elevate where they just came from with Spider-Man. It could not seem like a step backwards in upping the game, so to speak. It had to move it forward in a big way. And I think with Patrick Stewart, just using his voice like that, well, that opens up so many possibilities because you now have access to all of the X-Men if you choose, right? It's like, I can see Feige with like the chess pieces, moving them around the board. And he's like, if I take this one character and I move it right here in the trailer, they'll be raving lunatics like rabid freaking dogs for the next 12 weeks because it just means so many possibilities. Because if you think about the idea of if we have an Xavier, then we have a Magneto. And if we have a Magneto and we have a Scarlet Witch and they happen to meet, what happens? What happens, Jim? Because in the comic books, that's Daddy to Scarlet Witch. But in the MCU, that's not Daddy. So is he an alternate version? I get so many questions. But yeah, that's what you get for putting an Xavier in there.
Well, for me, the notion of bringing the Illuminati in now.
Yeah. And I also in that moment felt, my God, this is going so fast. I felt like a young girl who had been dating for a few months, and all of a sudden my boyfriend just dropped to his knee and put a ring on my finger, and I was like, it's just happening so fast. The Illuminati? Oh, clutch the pearls. I don't know what to say. I say yes to the Illuminati.
Well, I don't think I can top that. So, all right, folks. That is going to do it for this week's show. Aaron, social media-wise, where can folks find you these days?
On Twitter at AzaProd. Go to my website, azaprod.com. If you need commercials that grab your attention and get you business or audio cleaned up for a podcast, contact AzaProd today.
Social media-wise, you can find us over on Twitter and Instagram as Jim Hill Media. And over on Facebook is Jim Hill Media News. And on behalf of Mr. Adams, thanks for sharing some time with us, and we'll be back soon.